Hi everyone. I know you are going to adore yet another conversation that I'm going to be having with Dr. David Clements. I think this is about our sixth conversation or so, David. We've had
I
some,
think so, yes. Yeah.
really profound and riveting and, incredible conversations. And I'll put the links for those below this video. But for the few of you who don't know Dr. David Clements, he was originally a very um, high achieving academic with two PhDs in maths and physics, theoretical physicist, and then his Galactic companions team started to contact him, and his life is now utterly different. He's a living energy systems expert. He makes regenerative technology to help humanity, and he runs a beautiful Patreon group where you can join as a free member, and regularly offers live streams, meditations that essentially your galactic teams run, don't they? They run the
Yes,
meditation
that's correct.
and they
Yes.
are
Yes.
life changing for people. So I'd really, we'll put the details of how to connect to the Patreon group below as well. But, people are just really finding they're shifting big time with those meditations. So thank you for all that you do, David. And thank you for being here with me today.
Thank you very much, Pam. I love being here with you. I mean, the conversations that we have, the energy that's, because we're good friends, and it just creates such a lovely stream of conversation, and it's so helpful to people because I feel that the teams, my higher self, the infinite source intelligence, as I call it, just so much comes through when it just opens up in such a spontaneous flowing way like that. And so, I love doing this because I know how helpful in the aha moments that people have, that it has for people. So it's a real delight. And also, I really love you, Pam. You're such a wonderful soul, and
That's
I love
exactly
chatting
what
with
I
you
think.
anyway. So
Yeah, and if you look at the
definitely.
scenery behind David, absolutely. Wish we were all there with you. I'm sure once we learn to teleport, we will be. But yeah, David and I had a very quick catch-up chat last week, and a few things came out of that that I'd like to sort of probe further, and I think would be of great help to all of you listening. But our conversations are always spontaneous; they're never planned; they're just on the hoof, as it were. So. Um, David, a while back, a few months ago, you mentioned that there were going to be a series of evolutionary waves coming through for humanity and Gaia this year. And when I
Yes.
look at the astrology for July, the words I want to use are crescendo,
Mm,
climax, because you have a lot of astrological aspects in some cases that have been building for hundreds of years that all
mm,
lock into exact geometry.
mm.
And so that is, it's very powerful and it's very significant. And can you share what you feel is going to happen in July? You were talking about potentially a big wave of light, potentially.
Yeah, definitely. So, yeah, that's exactly right. So, the team spoke of a series of waves coming through, and the nature and how these waves were coming through would be sort of modulated or sculpted in a way that was most beneficial for humanity at that time. And because the very advanced teams, galactic teams, even intergalactic that are here, the infinite source intelligence, which is sort of overseeing the big picture here as well, including the intelligence in the core of the earth and our collective intelligence as higher selves embodied in human form as well. So it's this huge symphony that's constantly morphing, sculpting, and shaping everything to move in the most appropriate way for this ascension process, because that's really what it's all about. And so, yeah, they spoke about these and they weren't very specific. And usually that's because they don't want to give people an idea to mentally grab onto something. They want it to be fluid. It's almost like the analogy they show me. And it's interesting. I felt to put this image on of the flowing water because they said, well, imagine like, you're flowing down and they tell you, oh, there's a log ahead. You go, oh my goodness. Okay, I'm ready for the log. I'm ready for the log. You kind of mentally get you sort of grip yourself and sort of inadvertently actually get in the way of the flow of the nature. And when you get there, you realize, oh, actually, you're just going to flow right around that log and go around and everything's going to be fine. So it's kind of human nature, which they know, in a very loving way. They know how us humans could behave because of the nature of where we've been. We've been in a very, very low vibrational, ultra gripping, self gripping and gripping on the outer world conditions state. And so it's natural that we have this automatic grip, get ready, prepare for anything we know is coming down the road, even if it's a gentle one or we don't even know we're doing it. So that's just a little bit of clarification, I feel, as to why they don't give too much information, but just to give a sensation of the excitement of what's coming, because that's the real nature of the energy that we're looking for. It's the delight, the excitement, the evolution, and the expansion, not the mental, okay, get ready plan, get ready to control this, do this, or put this into place. It's not like that. We're moving away from that paradigm into a paradigm of intelligent flow. So we're not looking for low level control or grip. We're now in intelligent flow. And so and that's my view of it anyway. So what they spoke about, and when we chatted, recently, was that there was going to be, and they said it's already started, but there was going to be this big build up towards sort of, June and then July, as you mentioned. And it's to do with this big jump in restoration back towards a state of inner knowing. And what does that mean? Because that word gets used a lot, inner knowing and so forth, but it's a bit ambiguous in a way. So this, just to describe a little bit of the sensation of what they have given me, is that it's we're being restored back to a state of beingness where our knowingness is, how could I say? Let me describe the image they're showing me. There's this immense light that comes from the core, and in that light emission, that light field, is this library, excuse me, this library of experience, this library of knowingness. And it's not a physical memory knowingness, like, oh, I can recall the memory of what I did yesterday or what I did before. It's not quite like that. It's not a mental memory of reference, if that makes sense. It's an implicit, innate knowingness within the beingness of the living light energy emission that you're giving off.
It's more
And
like
so
a
with that,
claircognizance. It's more like a sort of spontaneous claircognizance.
in a way, but they're here now, my teams and my higher self. They're saying somewhat, but not quite. They're saying this is going to be a new sensation that humanity hasn't felt yet. And that's the first time they described that, because they didn't mention that when we were talking the other day. They just gave us a little bit of a flavor, to what was happening. But they're saying this is a delight, because it's going to help people move into really letting go, into a state of, and they're saying when they use the word trust, it's not quite the same way as we humans use the word trust, because there is a slight connotation usually with the word trust is, okay, I'll go along with this, but there's a slight kind of, and they're saying it's very different. It's a genuine trust. It's you are really being invited to settle into that genuine you, where everything is okay, where it's not oh yeah, I'm not sure. They say it's going to be fine, but I'll kind of trust that. But part of me says it might, something might happen. It's not like that. They're saying if those of you who are listening have had encounters or have felt the energy of perhaps the angelics or the beings you work with, particularly your higher self, you may have well had a sensation of the bliss and the peace of that energy, that centeredness. It's You could describe it as a very strong centeredness, but strong itself has a slight connotation about it, almost like a grip. It's not. It's such a clarity, a well-defined centeredness and grace and stillness that is so present, and you can't waver it. You can't sort of wobble it. It's so present. And they're saying that is what humanity is moving towards. And in there, an innate knowingness of everything is okay. I'm completely safe. Everything is fine. It doesn't matter what appears to be going on in the outer holographic field system. I am centered, and I feel and I know what's going on, and everything is okay. And they're saying that's the level that they operate at, and that's what they're trying to help humanity back into. And they're saying what's going to come forward with that is a lot of humanity's old paradigms, notions of self, which aren't really true self, identities, things we attach to, because there is a significant aspect of human existence as where we have come historically, that we have defined ourselves in terms of what we can grip, the identities we have, the place we are, the circle of friends we have, the job, a whole slew of things that we either know or don't even know that we're actually having a grip onto. And we have this big collection that we carry around with us in our day that we think is, yes, this is me. I'm good today. I've got my collection, I'm good to go. And so they're saying there's a series of events that are coming through these waves that are going to gently, just encourage people to let go of these and let go of them properly. And they're saying what's going to arise behind those and take its place is the genuine you. And there is no holding there. There's no possible. You cannot hold on to yourself. And I know they've said this before very clearly. That which you can let go of is not you. And once you have let go of everything, the real you is revealed. And it matches what the Palladians said a long time ago. They said, all of you can ascend right now. All you have to do is let go and let go truly. Not just, okay, I'm relaxed, I'm cool, okay, ascend, and nothing happens yet, right? You can try that. Because it's about the deeper aspects of us where we don't realize where we are holding on, how we are holding on, and what we are holding on to. It could be anything. It could be an identity. It could be a feeling of safety. It could be, oh, I'm good so long as I have that in place. So long as that's still there, that's my trusty steed. All those things we let go of, and what replaces that grip and maintaining of our collection of things that we think is us, it's replaced by this genuine us. And now we go into a state of living, intelligent, fluid self-consciousness. It's a completely different state of being. It involves no effort. It involves no holding on. You are simply being, and you are in delight of that beingness. That is where we're going. And so the series of events and this coming back of existential memory or experience is part of that package, because step by step, as one thing gets broken off of you, an identity, a grip, whatever it is, it's going to be filled and replaced with the living intelligence of the real you. And you'll get lighter, you'll get softer, you'll start to know more of yourself. And you won't know, hey, where did that come from? It will just appear. So there's nothing to work out, nothing to kind of, sort of cross the T's or dot the I's and say, yeah, there we go. That's good. I've crossed that little check box off. It's going to be very fluid. And they're saying a lot of this will take place during the nighttime when you're sleeping, because that's when you're most relaxed. And that's when the most grip is released, where they can get to work and help you move forward a lot. So they're saying that is, in a sort of nutshell sort of form, the series of crescendo events that are be coming forward. And they're saying, as a message, what they'd like to get out there is that they're saying a lot of you know this is happening already, even if you don't know that this is specifically what is happening, because you're encountering a lot of issues of anger, perhaps sadness, downness, irritation, lashing out. And they're saying these are all artifacts of strongly hold things, part of the collection you have. It's interesting that I feel like using the word collection, it's like we assemble all these things, like they said before, and we hold them and we carry this baggage around with us as if this is us, and it really isn't. And whenever one of those big boxes gets taken off of you, it feels like something very wrong is happening, but it isn't. It's that you're being asked to let go of a box that is not of you, and in its place, the real you will emerge. It will emerge even more. And so, yeah, that's kind of the process. And so, my higher self and my teams, is that pretty much the essence of what you wanted to share there? They're saying yes. There's one more thing as well. They're saying this is happening on a collective scale. So the Earth is going through a similar thing, because like we have assembled a collection within the Earth's body, All sorts of dramatic events throughout history have been collected within the fields, within the physical soil itself. That's a big conversation out of itself, but just to nutshell it, all of that is coming off as well. So a lot of the old dross from big events of the past are being removed and they are being replaced with a living intelligence of the core of the earth as well. So we're going through this simultaneously, hand in hand. And they're saying a lot of the physical events. So, they're saying like a lot of the earth shaking going on, a lot of the physical, big things that are happening. They said that a lot of this has been modulated, as they said before, but some of it still will need to happen because big things need to be shaken out. So it's not anywhere near as what people were predicting, lots of kind of, events to happen, so forth. But they're saying there will be some, and they're saying, each of you will be guided if you need to temporarily move to a, different place for a while or stay where you are, just they're saying be in the softness of who you are. That is when you are the most receptive to the real you, and that is when you'll get your information. They're saying it's very important as a lesson to humanity, is saying don't go after information. Don't try and grab it and say, right, I need to know. And say, because that's where you're going to lose the stream. They're saying the more you can just be playful, which is a wonderful state of opening up to self. The more you can be playful and relaxed and just be softly receptive to yourself, that is when you get the good information, and the knowingness, it will just appear. So that's what they're encouraging people to do. So is there anything else you wanted to add, my high self and my Arcturian teams, on this at all? No. Oh, actually, they're saying the Earth herself has a message she'd like to bring through. Okay, so Mother Earth Gaia, please go ahead. Um, such a lovely smile. The energy when it comes through, it's such a lovely, smiling, motherly energy. It's okay. So she's saying be of good cheer. She's saying that she understands how there is a lot of turmoil appearing to go on right now, but she's saying, as this one has said, it really is the old boxes of the old, so to speak, making their way to leave. And um, she's saying, dear children, she's saying, and dear humanity, just be aware that as those boxes leave, be aware of your reaction to that leaving and just allow, because and I can understand this, that often when something leaves, we feel like we're losing something, or something is being taken away from us. And sometimes we fight to keep it back in place, even whether we know we're doing that or not. And she's saying, just imagine the river, how water moves. It doesn't resist, it just moves around. It just flows, it keeps on flowing. It's the most beautiful material fluid, So she's saying the more you can be like this and just be allowing of this process that you have, and it's unique for each of you, the more graceful and easier this will be, and it really will be. And she's saying, just very playfully remind yourself, if you find yourself getting bogged down in grip and anger and reaction, that's the time to get out into a forest, get out into nature, just relax, just breathe gently, rhythmic breathing if you've been doing that, or whatever way makes you feel you get back into that inner softness again. Because she's saying one of the things that has scared humanity the most is being in a vulnerable, soft state to yourself. And that's part of the problem, she's saying, because she's saying humanity has been taught from an early age to be defense up, ready for action, ready to defend. And she's saying that actually prevents you from relaxing into that soft, liquid, fluid, living, conscious state of your true self. And she's saying that is what is being asked of us, humanity, right now, that we're moving through, just to be allowing and let go. And she's saying that there will be emotions attached to it, because a lot of sadness, anger, and other things have been attached to those processes we've gone through, when we've felt like we had to defend ourselves or push back an encroachment, whatever you want to call it. And she's saying those times are of the old energy. They're moving away, and you're moving into the delightful, soft center of who you are. It's very gentle. It has both that deep feminine and the deep applicator of the masculine in perfect fluid harmony. There's no push-pull, no contention, nothing like that. So she's saying, with that understanding, know that you are being moved there and it is all okay. And that's her message.
Beautiful. Thank you so much for that, David. So,
Mm.
is everybody going to experience this to some degree at broadly the same time?
Yes, there was a yes straight away on that. So it's the Arcturians coming through now. So they're saying it will vary from person to person. It depends on your path, the nature of, they're saying what this one calls puzzle pieces. And that just means for those who are new to that term, because I know you probably got a lot of new people who've joined your channel since the last time we talked. These are the aspects that we've come to work on consciously, the energy blocks, the stuff, so to speak, to break it down, transmute it, change it, and replace it with the true self within us. So those puzzle pieces we've selected to go through certainly family properties, family feels, certainly certain family energetics, because we are adept at doing certain things. So, oh, if I plot myself in that family, that's great. That's the perfect mix that will give me the puzzle pieces I need to work on and go through. So that's what they mean, or that's what I mean by that. So they're saying, so everybody's process is different, and it also depends on the choices you've taken in how you sculpted yourself energetically in this life, as to what will be optimized for you in the best way to get the best experience. Because they're saying it's individually um, they're showing me an image. I'll try and put a word to it, but it's a light fluid crafting, if you like. It's a sculpting, so that for each individual, the light moves in a particular way. It might sort of enlighten this area over here because that's specifically what you need in that stage, but it will be doing something different for somebody else. They're saying that no individuated experience is the same. And they're saying we very much encourage people not to compare yourself to anybody else specifically. And they're saying we know it's a very common human trait to think, oh, if somebody else is making a jump and you're not, to downtread yourself thinking, oh my goodness, they're having this experience, I'm not. Oh, it mean that I must be less than. They're saying absolutely not. No, you are all moving forward and it's being optimized specifically for you in the way that is most helpful for you. And for you, maybe that you're going through a process where that will come after you do that specific process. And for somebody else, because they didn't have those puzzle pieces in place, they are able to do that now. And then you do this over here then, and then so on and so on and so on. So there should never be I would always discourage anybody from comparing themselves to anybody else because it is absolutely meaningless because we have these unique paths and puzzle pieces. Two, in order to some of the puzzle pieces we're going through can be quite dense, they can be quite intense. And sometimes we have to sit in that energy for an elongated period of time in order for the light to work through, break through it, dissolve it away, and finally resolve that puzzle piece. So you can get a big puzzle piece sometimes, whereas the person standing next to you might get a little puzzle piece, but they've got another one, a big one coming after that. So it's like that. So I would encourage people to perhaps, mulch on that and have a feeling on that and, and understand that in their own way, basically. So, okay, so my high self, my Arcturian love light family, is anything else you wanted to add here? They're showing me a very strong, and this is interesting because I saw this in the recent meditation where they introduced the integration cocoon. Yeah, they're saying that's why they wanted to get my attention on it. Okay. They're saying that if you have your own way, or if you want to go to, and do the integration cocoon that they brought through, whatever you feel is the right way. But they're saying a process of integration is taking place. And what that means is that as we clear things, the light flows, the light streams that connect with each other, because there's this huge, beautiful, interconnected light. It's not really I don't really call it a system. It's a living fluid. Let's just call it an organism because I'm not really sure what else word to give it. But all those things, a little bit like, fibers coming together, these light streams sort of have to reconnect, reweave, and re-synergize again. And there's this synergization that's taking place between us as in a human suit and our higher selves. And so that is taking place as well. And they're saying as the days move forward, a greater stream of energy is going to be coming through this huge conduit that connects from the earth through us and through our higher selves multidimensional. They're saying that is going to increase. And they're saying that's part of the knowingness that is coming forward. As that light comes forward and starts to immerse in you, you'll innately get this inner knowing coming forward, and you won't know where it's come from. It will just appear. It might suddenly wake up and realize, I feel really different today. I don't know why. I feel just more fun, more graceful, more peaceful, and it will just appear. So they're saying those are to be expected because they're saying those are the delightful moments are going to increase more and more as time goes forward. But they're saying just be aware, though, that if you find yourself feeling ugh, or sad or in grip or grief, all of those kind of low things, they're saying be aware that is something that has been brought up to the surface because of the light that is pushing it to the surface. And that's okay. Just be allowing. They're saying don't tackle it. Don't, because and I've done this myself in the past, many times you go, right, right. And you kind of want to have sort of sort it out to get yourself back to the good feelings. And they're saying one of the best things well, certainly one of the best things that I've learned with my team's help is just be lighthearted about it. So, okay, I see that you're there. That's fine. Okay. And I know that you're on your way, you're passing through. You know, why get in the way of a train that's trying to leave? It's
Yes, yes.
it's going to be painful trying to stop it. It's like, and you just need to let it be on its way. And so one of the things they're saying is in a human, because we have such strong emotions, it makes it that much sometimes more difficult because when our feeling fields get saturated with the stuff that's coming up, we feel like that's all that's there, and that's when we have a tendency to get sort of bowled down. But they're saying if you can just allow and just know that that is going to pass, and it's just for the moment. It's like noise, somebody's turned the radio up real loud. It's like, okay, this is going to pass soon. It's real loud. It's real noisy right now, but it's going to turn off, quite soon. And the more I don't fight it and engage with it, the quicker it's going to pass away. And this comes back to what they're saying about the grip, because we've been so used to the control and the holding on our collection. And we don't realize that many of these states, the baggage we put on top of it and we hold as our collection is actually preventing it from leaving. And that's where we step in our own way a little bit. So they're saying they offer this information just as a little helping hand to understand better this wonderful process, they're calling it. Even they're saying, even though we know that in humanity's perspective, it doesn't feel like that many times. And they're saying, many people are going through some very deep, outpourings right now. And they're saying that is when you need to be the most allowing, the most letting go, because it actually is, if you look at it from a higher perspective, they're saying it actually is an invitation to let go of something you didn't know you were holding on to begin with. And that's the difficult part when you don't know you're doing it, but you are using your energy to hold on to something in some way. That's when it's like, no, I'm not holding on to this. Why does it feel so bad? I'm really not holding on to it, kind of thing. When deep down there is an aspect of you that really is, and that's also when it can feel, quite overwhelming. And so they're saying just being aware and reminding yourself of that knowledge will help you just relax a little bit more and understand, okay, so something I didn't realize is coming to the surface. It's going through its process. It's going through its way. And, there are a whole bunch of tools and things that they've given us that the Arcturians that people can see on the website, or if you have your own, it's whatever works for you is what works. So, and make use of those. But they're saying that the key thing is if you can find the delight and the fun within the clouds that are coming off you, you are so close to your true self. That's a very, very special place. And they're saying that is going to become more and more to the front as time goes on. So they're saying be of good cheer is the word they're using, because the more of these clouds that you you allow to blow off you, that center is going to get brighter and brighter and brighter and brighter. And then they're saying there is a threshold that's going to be reached that instead of identifying with or thinking that the stuff coming out is what you're all about, now you have this inner knowing that is now brighter than that. And now suddenly you're in this knowingness of who you really are, and the clouds can come and go and they don't affect you anymore like they used to because you're not identified with them. You are now in a deeper knowing of yourself. It's like being in this beautiful place and it's cracking with thunder and everything outside. The clouds don't affect you anymore because you know who you are. They can't get at you anymore in a sense. They can't affect you. And so they're saying that is really coming forward in the next, couple of months and moving forward for people. And so they're saying we're really looking forward to the delight that humanity is going to do and the ease within their self and the peace, the grace of self. I'm just trying to find words to describe the energy that they're showing me. It's such a blissful thing where they're saying you could be in a room of people shouting at you like crazy, and you will be able to simply smile at them because being in a world where you're attached to outer things, where people can yank your chain because they're really yanking your collection, and if you're holding your collection as you, no, how dare you? How dare this is mine, or something like that, they're saying when sufficiently let go of that, and you're in your knowingness, you can see past their shenanigans and dramas, and you can see through to the core, and that's just their stuff playing off. And you can be at peace with it. And they're saying this is how the masters do it. This is how the advanced beings do it. When you are going through your stuff, they don't get all offended and kind of, when you start saying, why isn't this happening? Why aren't you doing this? And everything like that, which is it's quite a common occurrence for humanity to do. They're saying they simply just back away and smile and they hold the energy for you because they know it will pass. You will come back into your peace, and then they can help you recover from, the clouds that have just cleared off of you. And they're saying you will actually find such a delight when these clouds come up instead of, oh my God, something terrible is happening. They're saying this is going to be quite a switch for humanity, a real transition, a transformation. They're calling it a metamorphosis because,
That word a lot, personally, in
yes,
videos, yeah.
yeah, definitely. And they're saying you're metamorphosizing from being this being of that is identified, attached, and has this collection of all this outer stuff, and having tried to squish it all inside you as if that's you, which actually covers up the real you. So that's coming off now, and the real you is expanding back out again. And they're saying the grace and the peace and the beauty and the delight and the wonder, they're saying you will feel will be never ending. Life will take on its true meaning because instead of feeling like you get up and you've got battles, you've got an assault course to go through, you've got this to sort out, all that rubbish that goes on, they're saying that's all an artifact of the energetics of the collection we hold playing itself out in the outer world. And it keeps repeating because as long as we keep the collection there, they're saying as boxes get pulled off of you, the sadness, the yucky feelings come up without the charge, the emotional charge that goes with those boxes that comes out. They're saying it will be replaced by this living, um, uh, true center of self. I'm trying to find the right words to describe what they're showing me. It'll be blissful, it will be delightful, it'll be wonderful. And every day you'll wake up with this innate excitement of, wow, what can I do today? And they're saying that isn't invented. That's not you psychologically just trying to tell yourself, yes, I'm going to be positive today. I'm going to get up and I'm going to do this, this, and this, and I'm going to feel good about myself. It's not like this. This is a completely different way of being. There is an innate joy. There is an innate delight that you cannot invent. It's simply you. It's part of you. You don't have to create or, make up fanciful ideas. It simply is there. And they're saying that is a metamorphosis which is coming. And they're saying it's coming fast now. And that's why so many people's boxes, so much of the emotional charge that goes with that is rocketing to the surface and rocketing out, saying just be in good cheer of that because it's a necessary and it's a beautiful process, even though from a human perspective, it doesn't feel like it, but that knowingness will come forward, and then you will really understand, this is a delightful process. It doesn't affect me in the same way it used to anymore. It's coming off in droves now, and it doesn't affect me. So they're saying they're really smiling. There's a whole group of them there. It's not just the Arcturians anymore. They're saying this is the delightful crescendo that is coming for each of us and the Earth herself as well.
Wow, so this is literally June, July, and we're right into this now. So, is this so far for us, David, the biggest evolutionary wave we will have experienced in our lifetime?
Yeah, they're saying that it's difficult to categorize because they're saying that time in the linear way that we view it is not the way that they see it. It's more about energy sculpting. And what we see in a perspective of linear time, like sequence of events one after the other, which is what I think of linear time, they're saying it's more sort of morphic and fluid in that way. But they're saying you're not wrong in the human perspective that each wave that comes through is bringing more profound metamorphosis, transformation from the old outer gripping, controlling, collected baggage self or false version of self to a true natural version of self, which is the real you. It's wrong to use it as it's not a version. It's the you. It's the actual you that's coming forward. That's a better way of saying it. And they're saying this metamorphosis on an individual basis is so accelerated that even on an individual basis has never happened before, but on a collective basis, on a planetary basis, has never taken place anywhere before. This is a real, they're saying this experimental metamorphosis is so profound. And the results of this, as the metamorphosis, really goes through its final stages, is going to be, well, this is their words, off the charts delightful.
Wow.
So that's the word they're using. And they're saying this is why they're saying we give these words and these phrases to help people understand that something so profound is happening, and it's happening within you. And one message, if you don't mind, sorry, you've probably got more questions. Sorry, I'm kind of,
That's fine.
um, is they're saying that this is one of the big messages that they would really like to remind people of, is that the apparency of a lot of unfolding in the outer holographic happenings, the outer world, whatever you want to call it, is taking place. And they're saying that what they would like to encourage people to do is to just relax out of that, because there's a lot of focus on, oh, that's happened, that's happened. And they're saying it can be fun to see what's going on. There's nothing wrong with being, sort of curious in a delightful way. But they're saying what's happening is people are pinning themselves to dates, events, ideas, ideologies. And they're saying that is actually slightly undermining or slowing down, they're saying, your own metamorphosis, because you're changing from one set of collections to another set of collections you're holding on to. And they're saying that's part of the metamorphosis is to be so unattached to what's going in the outer world. And they're saying they would like to bring in a piece of wisdom here, because they're saying from their point of view, what humanity does is they have a great fear or a sense of an uneasiness that in letting go, oh my God, I'm just going to sit here. I'm just going to all day. What else can I do? It's and they're saying nothing could be further from the truth. When you relax into the soft, true self of who you are, whole vistas you're not even aware of creativity and experience are going to open up to you. You're not retreating. They're saying in the old ways where people used to go up into caves and meditate for 10 years, you're not doing that. They say that's not what is happening here. So the idea of letting go means that no more delight, excitement, wonder, adventures. No, they're saying quite the opposite. More of that is going to happen because now you're opening up to the true expansion of your fields. Now your reality can really rock, so to speak, but in a divine way, a beautiful way, a loving, intelligent way. Not a haphazard way that we've been because we've closed everything down and it's all become control based. because they're saying the more you let go of the control and the grip, your love intelligence is now being allowed to emit more profoundly and sculpts your reality into exactly this harmonious, beautiful, delightful, adventurous wonder of a life, not just bashing through the next series of events. It's a complete metamorphosis. You're moving from that into true self, into a completely different paradigm. Sorry, my Arcturian friends, I interrupted you there. Is there anything else you wanted to add on that? It's smiling. um, they're saying that, yeah, to add to that, they're saying that there aren't any words to give, they're saying, that will help you get a better sense. But they're saying if you go inside and be at peace and just relax your sense of grip on everything, you'll now get such a beautiful picture and feeling of what it is you're moving towards. And you, by doing that, you're encouraging it to come forward. And so they're saying that the more you do that, the more you give yourself permission to soften. And that's a key word they're saying, because they're saying there is no tension, grip. What's the word? It's like solid structure. It's hard to describe. It's like there's nothing to hold on to in your true self. The more you allow yourself to soften and go into that, they've mentioned this before, the more you go into your truth, they're saying just get to know and befriend that truth of you, because the more you do that, now you get a better sense. You're really letting the metamorphosis take its place now and accelerate. And they're saying, think knowledge, understanding, wisdom, and knowingness of the past is going to come forward. It's going to activate in packets. And the more that you can be in your soft, open state within yourself, that real blissful, delightful center of yourself, that's really going to unfold, they're saying. So they're saying they would really encourage people to consider doing that, in their daily life. And just to be aware of anything, anywhere that they're gripping, holding on to, afraid to let go, because they're saying, we'll remind you again, whatever it is you can hold on to, whatever it is, spiritual identity, homely identity, job identity, social identity, doesn't matter. It could be all sorts of things. Whatever you're holding on to is not truth. It's not really you, because you can only hold on to something which holographically has a densification to it, which actually isn't, a real thing as such. It's a holographic projection or a construct. So whatever you can let go of, when you let go of, the real you is revealed. There's an analogy they used once before. It's like, they said, what if we asked you? And they said to me before, and said, you're on an island right now. You feel safe. It's got sand. It feels like it's solid. You feel like you're okay. What if we ask you to walk out into that ocean, way into the horizon there, where you can see no islands, no nothing, no floaties, no nothing, and just sit floating in the ocean? So I remember going out there and they said, now what do you feel? And there was this kind of reaction of, oh my God, there's nothing under me. There's nothing around me. What's happening? And they're saying this is fundamental for humanity, that you feel very much, unless you have solidity, unless you have the grip, unless you have the usuals, your collection in place, you don't feel safe. You don't feel everything is okay. They're saying quite the opposite is true. When you learn to get out in the ocean and you sink into the ocean, let yourself just submerge, you realize, oh my goodness, I was the ocean all along. I'm actually returning to myself. And I didn't need the islands. I didn't need solidification or solid anything. I just go back into myself and everything reveals and opens up to you then. So they're saying that's something they'd like people to play with, the idea and feel that idea. And even saying, sit down in meditation and imagine yourself being on an island. And what do you feel if you swim out into the middle of what appears to be just ocean everywhere? And then let yourself submerge and see how you feel. They're saying that will be the sensation of you trying to keep yourself right where you are, not where you're metamorphosizing to be, so to speak.
It's so interesting, David, listening to you because, unknowingly, you're actually speaking the symbolism of the astrology, which is so remarkable. I saw this about 2 years ago, and this is a conjunction between the planet Uranus and the planet Sedna, dwarf planet Sedna. and the planet Sedna has the symbolism of metamorphosis because, as the viewers will know, I've
Ah,
talked about it many
yes.
times, she was with her father in a storm in a kayak in order to save himself. He threw Sedna out of the kayak. When she tried to hold on tight to what was tangible
Right,
safety with her
right,
fingers,
right,
he chopped her fingers off, and
right.
she transmuted into a sea goddess, a much higher state of being. She's now the
Mm.
Inuit goddess of the sea,
Ah,
and her fingers became brand new, beautiful sea creatures of dolphins and whales. So it was a total metamorphosis. But her instinct was to
yes,
hang on to the old
yeah,
tangible, hang on really tight, but she had no choice. She had to
yeah.
let go. And it's interesting recently, and several people have had virtually the same dream. It's a very short dream. I was in an airport, I'd lost my luggage, I had to get on a plane, or I wanted to get on a plane to some new and exciting destination. I didn't know where it was going to be. I looked everywhere for the luggage, and eventually I had to get on the plane, and the message was, you can't take the old baggage to the new destination.
Yes.
And so many people said, I've had exactly that dream or similar to that dream.
Yeah,
We're
yeah.
feeling what exactly what you're saying. So I mean, this feels,
Yes.
because this crescendo of astrological energy, I mean, a very, very famous and brilliant astrologer philosopher called, he was French, Andre Barbot. He died around about the turn of the century, but he said about this unique astrology in July that this was the beginning of the golden age for humanity.
Interesting.
So it's so interesting, and that Uranus Sedna aspect lasts for another year. I know linear time doesn't exist, and I'm existential crisis about this as an astrologer, but it goes on for another year. But it was exact yesterday,
Yes, yes.
yesterday for the for the very first time that, well, certainly in our lifetime broadly. So what is it that what you're really sharing with us, David, is a shift towards the light body? Is that really the process we're going through?
Yeah, well, my team's Arcturians and my high self is saying it actually goes more deeper than that because the light body itself is a living envelope is the word they're using. But us as a being, we go back to a pure non-materialistic. It's
Wow.
the source. It's like there are steps to in like as the first steps of compression of energy where you get what appears to be something of structure, and then the more and more and more you compress it, it starts to head towards what we call matter in a very, very loose way. And they're saying there are many, many levels of just these beautiful designs of steps, of layers, of fields, all interconnected, all working together that come down into what we embody as the soul or the highest self in our human suit. So it's very complicated. I mean, that is a whole big discussion in of itself. But what they're saying is we're returning to they're saying what has been lost is humanity's connection to its truth, its source self, its living, fluid, non-material source intelligence, which then begins to step itself down in various forms of fields, compressions, living fields, to eventually arrive at where we experience ourselves in human consciousness in a human suit. And they're saying that is why so much has gone wrong, because the living love intelligence has not been present to organize, pardon me, harmonize, keep fluid, keep delightful, keep beautiful everything around you. So it's all been deserted in a way where things are just floating around, bumping into each other. People exert control just to get some sort of order or assemblage to their life, and everybody else is doing it. Then the need to take and hoard from certain beings came in because they're saying the wellspring of who you are comes from your center, and when you return to that, the infinite spring opens up. And you have access to everything. You need nothing. You will never grab anything from anyone. You have access to it all in here. It's just flowing continuously, like the well that just keeps on welling, so to speak. It doesn't stop. But because of this artifact of the old, where we've had this experience where that has been virtually shut down, not completely, there was a trickle, but it was a very, very subtle trickle. And so we've been living in this world as if we've been thinking we've been bumbling around like, feathers in the wind, just trying to make life work to some degree. And they're saying now the metamorphosis is going to take us into something completely different. And they're saying it does include what you referred to as the light body, but there are so many other aspects which we've yet to discover, which they're saying haven't even been spoken of in the human plane yet, which are coming forward. So that's the first I've heard of it as well that they're saying now. So that's kind of exciting. And they're saying that so much knowledge and inner knowingness from your many different lives, some incredibly advanced lives that you've had, you're going to start getting those impressions, as energy understandings back again, and you're just going to get these knowings coming forward. And they're saying many of you who have wondered, who am I? What am I to do here? What am I good at? What's my speciality? They say you're going to find out quite soon if you don't know already what that's going to happen, because the real you is coming forward. The real talents and latent abilities that you have are going to come forward. And so, but they're saying that will involve letting go of the identity of self that you have now. And for a lot of people that, coming back to this discussion we had before, it will be quite unsettling because they have so identified themselves as being whatever it is they do, whether it's a spiritual identity or work, whatever it is, it doesn't matter. And they're saying sometimes this spiritual identity can be one of the most difficult ones to get over because people on the spiritual path sometimes hold on to that so strongly that this is and that's one of the most tightly held ones. And when it gets encouraged to release from you, it's like because it became your lifeboat or your life jacket, it seems like something's really going wrong and somebody's really trying to rip your life jacket off you in the middle of the ocean. It's like, oh my God. And it can feel like you're flapping around in the water for a while, struggling. But they're saying these are all necessary steps in the metamorphosis back to the real you, the true you. And again, they're saying if you don't know the difference, remind yourself, everything you can hold on to is not you. So when you're fully relaxed, you're closer to the real you now because the letting go has come off to a degree. And but yeah, sorry, to come back to your question. Yes, there is the way they're showing me now is there are so many things that humanity has not yet been given the awareness of or the information for, because that has to come through and present itself. Then the knowing, and they're saying at times in the near future, people will start speaking about these experiences and what new is coming forward, which has not been discussed so far. And this will keep happening and happening and happening, they're saying.
So it sounds like, David, that the biggest changes may happen for people who have very clear public identities. They have a title, they're a leader, they're a politician, they're a celebrity, they're a Hollywood whatever, they're a, guru, whatever term you want to use.
Right.
They have a big public profile and an identity and a title. So it sounds like this metamorphosis may be the most uncomfortable for those people, particularly if they're out of integrity, would you say?
Yes, yes, the Arcturians and the Pleiadians are coming through on this one, and the Syrians actually, they're coming forward. So they're saying that they would like to offer some wisdom on this, and they're saying it's very simple. It's the more you hold on to an identity as it's being lifted from you, the more difficult and struggle it's going to feel. Because on the one hand, they're saying it's like your human tug of war. The energy is trying to pull it this way, you're trying to pull it back. And then there's this real kind of, stretch in the middle. They're saying that's metaphorically, of course, but in truth, it's very similar because, if you apply your free will to pull back that which is trying to leave, it's literally, again, they're showing this idea of having a rope to the end of it. The train's trying to leave and you're being dragged along the station, desperately trying to keep that there. And they're saying that is what they see time and time in humanity. Eventually, people get tired and they just let go. And they find, oh, actually, it was fine to let that go. I didn't need that. No, you don't. And it's all this very odd paradigm of humanity where we have been so consistently taught to hold on to have title, to have stuff, to have the collection or identities, and that is your life. You build this sort of assortment of things, and that's your collection when you sort of, move on in life. And they're saying the collection is disappearing very rapidly now in front of everybody's eyes. from individual people and from the earth. And they're saying this is the main struggle they see happening within people right now is it's people's own resistance to let go of that which is trying to leave. That's the biggest thing. So they're saying as what they would recommend, if you find yourself in that situation, sit down and ask yourself, what is trying to leave? And is that really me? And the answer is no, it isn't. Because if it's leaving you, it's not of you. Because you're metamorphosizing into the real you. The stuff that is not you that you've held is releasing and it's being replaced by the real you. But can you fully let go to allow it? And they're saying that is the path to ease and grace through this ascension process. Let go, let go, let go. That's very strongly coming through there. That's absolutely. And they're saying it really is that simple. They're saying there is a tendency to overcomplicate things with mental machinations and, tricks, techniques, that stuff. And they're saying some things can be helpful, but be aware that the mind often steps in the way by overcomplicating things. They're saying it really is very fundamentally simple. There's no battles to win. There's no battles to fight. It's simply a case of allowing, letting go, and letting what isn't you leave and the real you take its place. They're saying that, in a nutshell, is the process of ascension as they see it.
Wow. So, David, it sounds like with this game changer accelerated wave of evolution
Mm.
that we are going into in June and July, which is extraordinary, also that will bring with it an accelerated collapse of the old world.
Yes, yes, yes. Yeah, they're saying 100%. They're saying all that you have seen in the holographic this outer bubble or this environment, as you see, they're saying has all been a complete correlation, they're using the word, or reflection of your energetic collections you have held. And so what goes on the outer world is what you have held inside you. As that leaves, the outer world systems will crumble and dissolve. They have no foundation. They're saying they'd like to remind people again in a very kind way. They say what you call evil, and they're saying if you look at the word, the spelling of the word that backwards, it's live in reverse. It's live inverted. So it's going down, not expanding and going up. And they're saying it's just literally, it's not primary. It's purely there as an illusionary experience because of what we hold. And it disappears as soon as we let go of that. They're saying, why do you think there's so much emphasis placed within your movies and other things, media, to try and get you to be afraid, to get you to stay in these old states, so that you keep giving a foundation and support for what's going on outside of you? When you let that go, it crumbles. You're literally taking the foundation out of the house, and the house is just going to fall down.
Starve
And
out
they're
the
saying
scary,
this,
love in the good. It's one of my
yes,
things. Starve out the
yes.
scary, love in the good. Withdraw your attention focus and it all just falls away.
Exactly. And they're saying this is another powerful message they would love to reiterate to all of humanity. They're saying, focus and on the relaxation, letting go to your true self. The more you emanate that love intelligence, the more you will actually dissolve the inherent holographic structures around you, which are not working for you, they're working against you. So that they will just lose all of their ability to be supported. Because again, there's nothing in the foundational makeup of reality that actually supports it. It has to be held by intent to do so by living conscious beings. When living conscious beings withdraw their support, it falls away. It can't stay in place. And because the true nature of existence is love intelligence. And this game, this artificial game of the apparency of darkness, whatever you want to call it, is a game. And that artifact of that game only remains in place as long as there are living beings who are wanting to entertain it, support it, and keep it going. The minute everybody withdraws, it's like a whole bunch of people in a virtual reality headset playing this awful game. So, when's it going to stop? When's it going to stop? Stopped.
Yeah, yeah, exactly.
There you go.
Take the
And
headset off. Yeah.
exactly, yeah. So I don't like the technology analogy, but it's a good analogy because it really is just like that. Take off your focus on what you don't like, refocus within your soft, surrendered, centered self. Let love intelligence now form the hologram outside of you, and all that mishmash rubbish is just going to fall away. And that is exactly what's happening as we evolve like this, all that structure, all that nonsense which is going, it's just crumbling, crumbling so fast. It's avalanching now. It really is. And it's such a beautiful thing to see.
Yeah, I talk about this a lot, that everything is an inside job, essentially, where we
Yes. That's a good way of saying it.
it's so interesting. So it sounds like, David, and again, I know you don't like dealing with linear time, but it sounds like even by the end of the year, we are going to be in a very different place. We're going to be different beings by the end of the year.
Well, it's interesting. They rushed in there. It's interesting. They'd like to say something about that because they said, yes, there is the apparency of linear time, but they're saying very excitedly, they're saying, many of you are seeing this now, the non-linear phenomenon of things going on, which are to do with non-linear motion of events, non-linear time, let's call it that. They're saying it's already starting to present itself. And they're saying as you go forward, you're going to start to get comfortable with the idea that the idea of a stretched out past, present, and future isn't, it's all about just fields and it will all collapse into the now in a perceptive way of being. And then suddenly, the apparency of a linear, sequential, stretched out time is no longer part of your consciousness. You see it as fluid movements, you know, um, and it's hard to describe what they're showing because we always describe things in terms of linear time. So to be able to put that into words, and words themselves are part of a linear sequence, it's actually really difficult. But they are showing me an image of a sensation of what it will be like to live in that way. Yeah, it's and the Palladians say much of this has been about correcting, and they're saying when you heal and let go of something that happened in the past, you are actually healing that event and changing the timeline or the apparency of a timeline back in the past as well. You're not just releasing it now, you're actually changing the memory of what happened because that you're affecting that previous linear timeline, like a branch or like trees going out. You're going back, changing it, and now the branch is twisted. Now it's changed over to something else. So we're actually morphing and changing these sort of time threads, and by doing that, the whole strict linearity of time is going to change. That's a bit of a mind job in a way, and I suspect we'll only better understand it once we're actually living there. So I'm trying to do the best I can to fill in the words for it, but I think that's more of an experiential thing that we'll know when we get to it more properly.
Yeah, I get that because I'm actually doing that exercise in my shamanic training, going back down
Ah,
the timeline, adjusting the person's memory, and then bringing them back to the
yes.
present. And
Interesting.
yeah,
Okay.
it's really fascinating. Something that several people have asked me to ask you, David, is this living light intelligence also affecting our DNA? Presumably it is, because it's affecting all of our being.
Yes, the teams are saying that we're going to learn more about what we call DNA coming forward into the future because they're saying a lot of what we have been taught is not, as it
Well,
really is.
well, well, well.
Yes, yeah, exactly. No, stones to uncover there, huh? And so what they're saying is it's all interconnected, and as you change, so does all of the holography. That is the light structure or the light forms around you. It's one to one. And so it's very much so they're saying it's all aspects of you are actually changing. And the human suit they're saying, as you might call it, or the human body, which is an immaculate living system, they're saying, is going to be able to open up to avenues that previously were not. The doors weren't open. It was not possible. And they're saying that's quite a big subject of understanding in of itself. But they're saying as this metamorphosis takes place, doors are naturally going to start opening and transformations in very, very profound, deep ways are going to happen. And they're saying that's part of the delight we're looking forward to humanity discovering, because there is such a delight in the discovery, the self-discovery in of itself, rather than somebody telling you too much. But they're saying you're very much on the right lines, definitely.
Yeah, absolutely beautiful. And it seems that, well, question. or is this going to have any similarity to, say, the ancient wisdom that we might have had in ancient Lemuria, or is what we're going into as a state of being and cognizance even beyond that, claircognizance even beyond that?
Yeah, so my higher self. Actually, it's an overlay between my higher self and source intelligence that is coming through now, and the teams are sort of there on the periphery. So what's being said is that source intelligence is saying that what you have considered as Lemuria and Atlantis, and there are many other civilizations before that which are not necessarily recorded in history. They're saying the layers of civilization experience on this planet is quite vast. And they're saying that knowledge and knowingness is going to come back. But they're saying two of your more recent ones are recent, which is funny because we always consider Atlantis and Lemuria to be ancient. They're saying they're very recent in the grand scheme of things. And and I can say that one of the groups that I had Inner Earth contact with, saying that they first began.
We've lost your audio, David.
They go, sorry, I knocked the power off button as I moved my arm. Sorry.
Yeah, we just lost
Uh,
a few seconds. Yep.
okay, I'll go back a little bit. They're saying that an Inner Earth civilization that I had some contact with was saying, describing to me that they began moving down towards, in the inner earth about 400,000 years ago. And so that they were not the first either. So our history, if you can call it that, as a sort of linear time is large. There's so much to fill in. And they're saying that will come back. And they're saying what's going to happen, even those events are metamorphosizing because what you take with you is the wonderment, the delight, the expansion gained, and everything else that is drossed is going to just wash away. So the actual gaining of what we went through in those experiences and other worlds as well, we gain the good stuff and we leave the illusions behind. That's the nature of how this works. And they're saying that a lot of new information and understanding will come forward from those experiences, but it will be, yes, there will be things to clear, they're saying, but it will also be specifically the understanding and the wisdom that will come back to help shift everything forward again. Because they're seeing everything layers together. The more you emanate these layers and layers of wisdom from within your core of the many experiences you've had, that all helps to shape this delightful future we're moving into. And they're saying it's so much about layering and bringing together and unifying the good layers of different experience together to form this wonderful being, expanded being of you that just keeps growing and expanding all the time and never stops. So does that answer your question, or did
Yeah,
you?
absolutely. I mean, it sounds magical, David. And there've been questions in the past about, is this going to happen in my lifetime? It's, is this going to happen this month or next month? It's imminent,
Well,
isn't it?
oh, sorry, carry on. You hadn't
No,
finished.
no,
Sorry.
no. I mean, it really, we are right in it. We are right in the pivot point, it seems, from what you're sharing, of
Yeah.
this accelerated evolution of consciousness for human. It's like an explosion of consciousness that we're going into.
Yes, and they're saying, dear humanity, and this is a combination of all of their energies now. They're saying we would love to remind you that you have the ability to have this come sooner to you in your apparency of linear time. It all is a measure of how much you're willing to let go. And so they're saying the more time you spend holding on to the things, it's the inevitability of it hasn't changed. We are definitely heading that way. There's nothing can change that. We are absolutely locked into that. And they're laughing. They're saying even though others might try, they're trying to do something with that. It's not going to work because the fundamentals of how reality works is underpinned by higher consciousness. It's not pinned by lower consciousness. It's like if you imagine a sandpit, they're showing me this image, and a few group of the kids who want to control everything are trying to build all the sandcastles their way, and somebody comes in and just enters the fundamentals of the makeup of the sand and goes, no, 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 we're not doing that. So it's kind of like the fundamentals are handled by very advanced consciousness. It's not handled by lower consciousness. But in this game, this sandpit of a game, we each get to make our own sandcastles or make what we want. Some people are trying to kick other people's sandcastles over, that kind of thing. But the fundamentals themselves are all handled by higher consciousness. So the ultimate, the ultimate flow where we're going cannot be changed. We are on this ascension process, and we are heading to this beautiful metamorphosis that we're going on to. But they're saying on an individual basis, and also from that collectively as well, they're saying you can enhance and you can move this forward by just reminding yourself and focusing on being soft with inside yourself, going inside, relaxing into the ocean of you and being okay with that, releasing any fear or resistance that comes up, and just practice the art of just being in the state of let go, you know. And they're saying the more you cultivate that feeling of being completely okay with letting go of everything, then you will speed this up significantly. They're saying that's a big key. They're saying they're showing me this image of this really large, big light key. They're saying that is big.
Beautiful. And it sounds like galactic disclosure will be a big part of this as well, David.
Yes, that is smiling. They're saying there is a process going on right now, but they're saying that they're saying a very modulated and handled version of disclosure, but they're saying the true nature of disclosure cannot be withheld from you because the truth is there for you always. And they're saying this is another aspect they'd like to encourage people to do. They're saying the coming forward of other races and this inevitable meeting that's going to take place. They're saying there's no time period for it because it moves and changes according to humanity's energy state. And they say they like to say two things. Number one, the more you can get yourself into that soft surrendered state and elevate, and by its nature, your energy is naturally going to elevate. You're going to take yourself closer to where they are because they're saying there's a halfway meeting point they need humanity to be at. And it's all part of the energetics of honoring of how, they're not allowed to reach, en masse if civilization hasn't reached the threshold yet. It's a little bit like if people are familiar with Star Trek, the idea was, oh, if they haven't invented warp drive yet, we can't introduce ourselves. But in their way of saying it's, oh, if they haven't reached that threshold of energy, we can't do things en masse because that energy needs to be met, in a very loose way of speaking about it. And what that means is that humanity needs to raise itself. We're not they're saying they discourage people sitting back and waiting for disclosure to happen. They say we would wholly discourage that. They say what we would like to encourage is people actively getting their energy up, raising their energy, going into the soft center, and by its very nature, encouraging contact to come forward. They're saying that is the power you have. No one can give it to you. No authority or arrangement can do anything with that. They're saying humanity, that is your gift. That is your ability. That is your power. If you wish for contact to come sooner, then get yourself into the energy state where you can invite it and have that threshold met. They're saying the second part of this is also to do with the fact that the higher energy your energy is, and they've spoken about this before, is that you are going to be introduced to a number of different civilizations. You're going to be introduced to inner earth beings. You're going to be introduced to the Pleiadians and other beings like this. And the first introduction they're saying is very likely to be of races that are very closely looking to you because it's familiar, it's comfortable, and you can relate. It's a very natural expectation that they have for how this is going to unfold. They're saying this has nothing to do with pictures of UFOs flying around and information. As nice as those steps are forward, they're saying the real disclosure is with humanity, and it's for humanity to decide in itself when that happens. So they're saying they would encourage people to, yes, it's interesting to see the stuff that's the documents and things that are coming forward, but they're saying most importantly is you're not sitting idle and waiting for somebody else to give you contact, to give you disclosure. They're saying it's your part of your developing and learning energy self-responsibility. Being in your sovereign state and applying and focusing your energy from your center, that is. They're saying that's part of your maturing process. And to do that is to really invite and encourage contact forward, because that is what these very advanced civilizations are looking for and they're waiting for. And when that threshold is met, they can then come, and they're saying that is the date that it will happen. And they're saying it is not a specific date because it changes when people decide not to go into that state. It pushes it a tiny bit back. And when they go into that state, it brings it a little bit forward. So there is a fluctuation there. But they're saying as they see it in the current potential, they see this happening very soon, particularly due to these massive crescendo waves that are coming in through June and July. They're saying those are big, big steps, definitely.
Well, this just sounds extraordinary, David, like the Harry Potter sorting hat that our lives are going to kind of change out of all recognition, because you've talked in the past about telomeres getting longer, we're going to be healthier, we're going to live a
Yes.
lot longer. And it sounds like, relationships will change, maybe where we live change, who we
Yes.
change, who we live with in community or not will change, whether some of those people beings are galactic or much more like us. It sounds like there is so much that is magical that's opening up for us, and it's absolute game changer energy that we're in right now.
They're saying they would love to share with you a little snippet of how they live. And they're saying that their life is perpetual delight, it's perpetual wonder, and it is perpetual love. And they're saying to use your human word bliss. Um, but to experience that, to really live in that, which is what is coming, they're saying is wholly different from the words of just saying it. They're saying they are so excited for what humanity has coming towards it. They really are. And it is a delight for them to watch us heading towards our own inner delight. And that's the way love intelligence works. It delights in, beings opening up to more love and then them helping other people to do the same. It's a beautiful, beautiful living existence. Um, and they're saying all of what you have known will largely disappear very quickly, because as the metamorphosis takes place, um, new states of being and inner knowing are just going to present themselves, and you will naturally let go of the old as this comes in as well. So that will also happen. But yes, but they're saying the more you can step into that softness, step into that metamorphosis of you, the faster this will happen, the more graceful it will be, the more beautiful it will be. And they're saying you will feel the delight. And there's no requirement for the delight. It's not like you have to have something happen. Oh yeah, I'll be happy when this happens, or when, that stops happening, or this. It's not like that. They're saying it's the transformation into the natural delight you have that will just fall away by itself. It really will. And so they're saying that's the nature of the flow we're going through, and where we're heading to, for definitely.
And sounds like socio-political structures will change very, very rapidly and very radically.
Yes. Yeah, they're nodding to that. They're saying that with this knowingness comes many things. It is the delight, it is the wonder, it's the perpetual adventure of life. The sweetness, they're saying. That's something which humanity has missed for a very, very long time. They're saying the sweetness of being. It's that simple. You don't need to earn it. You don't need to do anything to get it. It's innate. But because of where we've been, we've covered it all up. We've covered up that sweet center with all this other dross. They're saying that's coming off. You are getting back to the sweetness. And they're saying the more this stuff comes off, and if you're feeling yucky, just know that it's the dross leaving so you can get closer and more merged into the sweetness, the center within you, which is the real you. And they're saying, take heart and take comfort in that fact.
Beautiful. This has been just magnificent sharing, David. Whenever I have conversations with you, I can just feel my consciousness expanding, and I think speaking for all of the viewers as well. You just give us such a vision and such a treat in terms of what we are actually absolutely on the precipice on. I mean, of we're already stepping into this kind of energy, which I'm thrilled to say astrologically is right on time, although, right on time with what was expected energetically. And it's
Yeah.
just thrilling that we are alive on Earth here at this time to witness all of this, because these really are
Mm.
historic times, aren't they? Massive.
They are. They are unprecedented. I know that there's many words that get used a lot, but unprecedented is a fairly descriptive one. And it's and to me, it's not like it's just how could you say? It's not like if you imagine a board game and it's like, I really want to be on the other side and I know where it is and I know it, but I just want to get from here to here and to something that's familiar but better. It's not like that. They're saying this is a whole paradigm shift. Literally the structure, the foundations, everything that we have known is falling away and giving away to a brand new existence, a brand new world where heart-centered living, love-centered intelligence is going to be the very core and foundation of the human experience. And they're saying, again, they're just saying, just to remind people that the way you get there, the speed at which you get there, that's entirely up to us and the earth itself. We're symbiotically moving hand in hand in this together. And these delightful things that are happening is, like again, I can't quite find the words to describe them because I don't think you can. A lot of these things are you just purely have to experience and feel for yourself. You can give names and words to them, but that really is not too much help. It's really the feeling and the sensation. And it's a delight for me to see people in comments in different places getting their ha-has and feeling this emanation. Some people for the first time. It's such a beautiful thing. And then those people that learn this can then go off and then share and teach what they've learned and encourage other people to lift up. It's such a wonderful, interconnected, organic living system. And that again is the world we're going into. We've talked about the absence of intelligence, that stuff as well. I believe all that technological stuff is going to crumble as well. At what rate and how, I'm not sure, but the way that the world that we're moving into is an organic, living, love intelligence world. There will be some advanced innovations for sure, but these will be living energy innovations. These won't be dead technology, dead energy technology, I call it. That's probably a very dramatic phrase to use,
It's
but
really
it's
good to
just,
hear that. Yeah, really good to hear that.
yes, that's the way I see it. So I would say to everyone, really, really just kick back, relax, and enjoy your show and the show as a whole, because you're in very good hands with you. And just that's the other thing. Just take time to get to know your inner self, your higher self, whatever you want to call it, the soft center in your core of your heart. Because by doing that, you're befriending the very truth of you. You're encouraging in your greatest ally, if you want to say that, that is always looking out for you, right down to the subatomic, all the way to the big stuff in your energy field. So, that's where the bliss is. It's all inside you. It's not about scurrying around, changing anything around side to make it okay. We're not doing that. That's just going to fall away. We're coming back to the center and letting the whole outer world be a reflection of the new true us that's coming forward.
Beautiful. And it also sounds, David, from what you're saying, that each of us, as we move up in dimensions, we're going to be like matches or lighthouses. We're going to be igniting, helping to
Yeah.
ignite other people's light,
Yeah.
almost infecting
Yes.
other people with our light, and equally they will do the same to others they come in contact with. It's a
Yes.
ripple effect.
Yes, definitely. And they're saying that if to paint somewhat of a picture, they're saying from their perspective, the number of lights, very powerful lights, and even new lights switching on now is rapidly accelerating. It's really avalanching, to coin a phrase. Um, and they're saying this is exponentiating. It really is. It's just going to get faster and faster and higher because lights, as you emanate your energy, like they say at the end of the meditations a lot, when you just go out, walk, go to the shops, go to your shopping, or just walk past people, they get to feel the enlightened energy emanating in your energy field, and it does impact them. And suddenly they might go, oh, I've just had a funny change of perspective there. I just feel like I'm really much more happier right now or something. And it gives them an ignition, so a gentle spark ignites, and that will start to grow and grow in them until eventually they let go and allow their full light to emanate. And it is exactly as you said, they've said this many times. It's this evolutionary effect where one light starts, then all the neighboring lights starts to kick on. They go around, they kick off lights, and they're saying that's exactly how it works. 100%.
Beautiful, beautiful, beautiful sharing, David. Honestly, just thank you so much for the work you're doing in the world. It's just life changing and magnificent. We're so grateful to have you, and that you've shared your time and your wisdom with us, because I know this is going to help so many people listening to this. We're in
Yeah.
big times of transition, and people can easily get knocked off center. So I think what you've shared today will be immensely helpful for them. So, really
Yeah.
want to thank you for your time, your energy, your vision, your all of the messages you've shared with us, because they will uplift everybody. They truly will. So thank you so much.
Yeah, and likewise, Pam, and to also, because, um, you're such an immensely beautiful soul. I hope you don't mind me saying that. And the stuff that you give out and that you share and the platform that you have, I see the comments that, people really love the emanation you give off. So, thank you as well. And also, just to everyone in the audience as well, because you got to remember, everyone who's listening, you have access to source intelligence as well. There's no one who's above or below you. And that by simply being and emanating where you are right now, you are having a profound effect. So, I've seen a lot of comments, because I went through this patch recently, a very deep purging of, really, really ancient stuff. And it really knocked me on my rear end for about 2 weeks. And and one of the messages that I saw in people say, "Oh, thank you for sharing that and telling us you're going through that," because I thought I was just being rubbish or a loser by going through this stuff, and I want to really tell people, no, all these steps are very necessary, and I go through them. Everyone goes through them, and I think it's important to share that, to say that we are all here, hand in hand, as family of light, going through our puzzle pieces, emanating our light, and I really, and my teams, I know, greatly discourage this as well, this idea of, a guru or the one, or there's no such thing. There really isn't. We encourage each other in different ways. Sometimes, it's helpful to me to hear a helpful word from somebody like, aha, I got an aha moment. There you go. I see now. I've changed my perspective. And so, by me sharing the wisdom that the teams bring through me and have given to me, and seeing people have their ahas, and then they go and give ahas to other people as well. That's how this lovely organic system, or not system, this living energy, let's call it that. There's a better way of saying it. That's how I feel it works. So, to everyone out there, thank you as well for the emanations that you share and the light you give off, because you are doing tremendous work just in that alone. So
Yeah, and
definitely.
just by your state of being, and it's interesting, David, and you're so authentic in sharing that. I mean, I got my knocked off my eagle's perch last week, because people send me videos all the time. They sent me something which was really dramatic and engaging, but I could actually feel my frequency going down by the minute. But I was so kind of hypnotized by it. And within an hour, I was really quite down. And I thought, come on, you know better than this. You know better.
Right.
You talk, pull yourself, So occasionally I can get off, if an animal's suffering or that kind of thing, I can get very knocked off center with that. So
Yes.
I'm really
Yes.
much more aware of, I've got to bring myself back. I've got to walk my talk.
Yes.
I've got, it's part of mastery, I think, that all of us
Yes.
get knocked off our
Yes.
center, whether we're ill or, we suddenly feel low or very panicky or anxious or frightened. All we're human. At the end of the day, we're human. But mastery
Yes.
is knowing how to get yourself back on track as well. I think so.
Yeah, and actually, oh, sorry, have you
Yeah,
not,
no,
sorry, have you
no, no,
finished?
go ahead.
Yeah, there's a message they like to bring through in my higher self, particularly that and I'd like to add in the mix here as well from many experiences I've been through. And is this saying that sometimes, in order for the clearing to take place, some things have been pressed down so deeply. It's like being in an ocean. They've been tethered down to the bottom of the ocean so deep. Now, sometimes in order to get down, in order to reach and pop that thing up so it can come up to the surface, you have to go through an experience on the outer world that really rattles you. So you feel really, excuse my French, crap, you know? And so now you're really down at that level. Now, ping, that thing can come up and now it moves to the surface. And so they're saying, um, as a sharing of wisdom, they're saying to help, humanity, the things that you are going through right now are all, every aspect of your path is very necessary. There are no accidents, there are no coincidences. Everything is very intelligently handled. And it's all about lifting up and uprooting the deeply, it's like one of those, I don't know, like a mine or something that's tethered to the ocean floor. And that has to come off. It has to come out. It can't stay there. And so something has to happen to initiate or trigger the ting and the rising up to the top. And so they're saying that's what a lot of these events are designed to do. They're not designed to harass people or mess around with them. They're designed to get you to a state where that can ping off. It will come to the surface. And they're saying, as it rises to the surface, that in itself can feel quite yuck because it's all the emotional charge and everything starts to come off it, starts to fill your energy field. You start to feel the yuck of it. And they're saying it's all part of this process of pinging off these hidden things inside of you so that light can get down there and emanate and fill that space and replace it with your love light intelligence. And they're saying these are these little ping moments that people go through, these trudges, these trenches that people go through. You'll go through the trench to the bottom, then you'll come up the other side as you get down to pick off something that's down there that needs to remove. Because as that goes, the trench starts to move up and disappear because it was only held in place because of that thing that was there. And then it removes, then it goes. And they're saying if you can just remind yourself of that, and you might have a different way of viewing it than that, just to remind yourself that, and you will feel much better on the other side because that thing that is down there tethering you to lower dimensions or lower frequency has now gone. Now you're free to expand, open up more. Now it feels better. And they're saying this is the cycle of things, go down, ping, you go up a little bit higher. Oh, there's another trench, you go down, ping, get that off, you go up a bit higher. And that's how it works. So I really felt they wanted to share that just in what you were saying to help people better understand perhaps, this. And I was very happy to share that with people, to say to people that let go of that facade, that there's something wrong when you go through it. Oh, he doesn't go through it. Look where he is. Yeah, I
All
do.
go through it.
So,
We all go.
yes,
These are,
exactly,
you
exactly,
can't just
exactly.
smoothly drift through this massive transition for humanity
Yes,
unscathed. We are
yes,
human and
yes,
we are all supporting each other, helping each other, and we're all going through it at the same time. So yeah,
yes,
there's a
yeah.
real feeling of a global community, I think, coming together to
I
really
think so.
feel that heart connection with each other, to really want to
Yes,
create a much more loving world than we have right
yes.
now, and that's exactly what's happening. So.
And just one very last thing. I know we're stretching time here, so sorry about that. But they're saying, as coming back to what you said before about integrity, they're saying a word they would choose to use is actually authenticity, the natural authenticity where integrity comes from. Because they're saying, a lot of times people will put and I've done this many times in during my journey, we put a brave face on things, or we play that we're okay when really something is playing under the scenes. They're saying a natural authenticity of genuineness is coming back, and that's really going to be helpful because they're saying the more crystal clear you can be with yourself and playful. Crystal clear isn't about, oh, yeah, this is going. That means no, 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 no. It's not like that. It's saying, okay, I see it clearly now. I see what's coming up. I see what's going on. Okay, I'm going to continue to be playful, be in my authentic self. This will move away very quickly and just let it be. And they're saying that natural authenticity, that not having happy identities or those kind of things, which are just patchwork that we place on things to give ourselves a, a somewhat of a respite from things we don't want to own or see. They're saying if you can let go of that facade or that sort of dramatizing and be back in the authenticity of yourself and just see it clearly for what it is. It is leaving. It is not of you, but you've held it there and now it has to go. And that's just the process. It's a very elegant process. As long as you just let go and allow, that's the way to be. And they're saying that's how they encourage anyone to do it. They said they went through the same. These different races have gone through evolutionary experiences, somewhat similar to what we have, not quite the same as what we're going through on Earth, but they're saying they understand the dips into the depths of everything we hold on to and the uptick on the way out as you release and move into higher states. So they're saying that is the wisdom that they offer.
Yeah, fabulous, beautiful, magnificent. Thank you for all that you are, David, and all that you share with us and the world. And I just want to thank all of the viewers out there for all that you are doing with your work in the world, because every single one of you, even just by your state of being, is playing an amazing part in this massive
Definitely.
metamorphosis for humanity.
Yeah,
So,
absolutely.
yeah. Thank you so much, David. God bless, and bye to everybody out there. And much love. Be back very soon. Thank you so much, David. Bye
Lots
for
of love to
now.
everyone.
Bye for
Bye
now.
bye.